Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about the primary purpose of this video is to record a Dungeons and Dragons historical moment of 2022. We had this brief, shocking, shining moment where the Dungeons and Dragons creatives and the Dungeons and Dragons counters, yes, the bean counters, right, came to the D&D commentators and said, let there be peace. The edition wars are done. All of us, let's lay down our virtual weapons in this bloodless war and let the edition wars be finished. There was this 5 minutes of time where peace magically floated in the air, and all that had to happen was that the last sea had to snatch it, right? I had to just take it as it magically floated like a gleaming talisman, right? And all that had to happen was that the D&D commentators would accept it, and we would have had peace forever. It was a moment. It was a moment, right? We have the Geneva Conventions today because countries got together and said, let's have some peace. Let's set some ground rules for combat. Let peace reign for 5 minutes, right? And the reality is we had this moment. I want to record this Dungeons and Dragons moment in history in 2022. There were some incredibly historic moments of history in 2022. Incredible moments of history in 2022 for Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about that today, okay? But you guys are so patient with me, and I appreciate your patience because I'm also going to do 2 other things. I'm going to talk about 2 other things in this video. There's 3 videos in this video. Why? Why, Scott? Why are you putting 3 videos in a video? Oh my gosh, right? Like, so I keep my list in Trello, and I highly suggest Trello. It's free. It's fantastic. You can move things around in it, like Legos. You can just move them around, click them into this stack, click them into that stack. It's fantastic. You can just take data and move it virtually. It's a digital visualization. It's a digital mobilization platform. It's fantastic, right? So my Trello list of video ideas is 300 or 400 items, right? This year I even split it and I just put stuff on the back burner and made a new list. And even the new list, there's stuff. The only way, when I go to look for ideas to talk about my videos, one, I prioritize timeliness, right? I want to talk about things when they're hot, right? And just because essentially I'm doing news for Dungeons and Dragons, right? I'm trying to cover the events that are happening in the history of Dungeons and Dragons, and history is happening right now, right? And I think if you pay as much attention as I do to Dungeons and Dragons, you can tell the moments that are historical, right? So I'm a modern historian, reporting, historicizing what's happening now, right? And so I have so many ideas I can't even remotely cover them all. And by the way, I think a lot of D&D commentators are like this. Not only, it's not even enough to say I'm a D&D commentator anymore. You gotta choose a slice because there's so much you can't even cover it all, right? I have so much to say about the new Dragonlance, Shadow of the Dragon Queen. I just don't have time, right? Because there's other things that are just jumping at the top. So let's talk about this. So first of all, I want to present new language, right? I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons momentum. Everything that happened, Dungeons and Dragons has been propelling itself forward since 1974, overcoming obstacles literally to its existence, right? Those obstacles are, let's talk them through, right? Satanic Panic was the first, 4th edition. Oh my gosh, right? 4th edition. It could have, we could all be playing Pathfinder right now if Hasbro's commercial foo wasn't stronger, was not as strong as it is, right? Right now, right? Dave Thaumavore, I've bought half this guy's products. I watch every video he does. He just did a video saying you should quit playing 5e, right? Right now, there are D&D commentators, right? There are people in the TTRP community who want to see the death of Dungeons and Dragons. Dave Thaumavore saying flat out, he's saying, hey, I don't want you could stop playing 5e right now. That's a bold statement. That's really bold, right? So the reality is Dungeons & Dragons has to propel itself through history, okay? And the way it gets momentum is the 3 C's. And this is new language. This is for me, right? Okay, and I want to start talking about Dungeons & Dragons. I want to continue to talk about Dungeons & Dragons in a realistic, very hyper-modern manner, right? Because it is not your granddad's Dungeons & Dragons, right? And that's not a joke. There are literally a lot of granddads who are playing. You know, like, all right, yeah. If I'm lucky, I'm 5 years away from being a granddad. We'll see, right? So, all right, so, you know, so basically, here we go. All right, let's talk about the 3 C's. Okay, you know how anything gets created in Dungeons. You know how anything happens in Dungeons and Dragons. The Dungeons and Dragons creatives, the Dungeons and Dragons counters. Okay, let's define that. The suits, the bean counters. Right? We've been very dismissive of them. We really have, and that was wrong. We need to start backing up and saying, whoa, there's a reason Dungeons and Dragons is a global brand. There's a reason there are 3 product lines that connect Dungeons and Dragons to 1,000 worlds each, right? Funko Pop, Lego, and Magic the Gathering, right? There is a reason we are looking at a global movie franchise possibility that could break every single record, right? And that is the counters. We have discounted the counters for a long time, and it's wrong. It's wrong. And this is why D&D daily sales past the OSR and indie products, because the counters aren't there, right? It's all garage creator energy, and they don't have any bean counters, and you can see what happens when you don't have counters, okay? So it's the D&D creatives. They write the rules. They create the D&D canon hardbacks, right? It's the D&D counters. They don't write they've never written a single rule, right? Actually, I guess that is different. Like, actually, Dave Bloom actually both put up money and actually created content. But nowadays, ain't no bean counters creating content, right? Like, so the D&D counters. And last, the D&D commentators. This is important. Wait, Scott, why didn't you say community? I'm realizing. I'm updating my language. The community doesn't matter. The commentators matter, okay? And I got 2,000 people who follow this channel, right? And Ben Dungeon Craft, he's got 100,000 followers now. I think he just passed 100K. Nerd Immersion passed 100K, right? Maybe Dungeon Craft's still lower, but I know Nerd Immersion has 100,000, right? GDD's got 400,000 followers, right? That's the community. But you know what? Ain't none of those followers matter. All that matters is what Ginny D says. And when she says it, it echoes 400,000 times to the D&D creatives and the D&D counters, right? So the community doesn't matter. The D&D community doesn't matter. Commentators matter, right? And they carry the banner, and when they put that banner up, it's times X, which is their sub count, period. End of sentence. Okay? All right, so the reality is, so here's what happened. Here's what happened in 2022, and I want you to listen to this carefully, okay? So the D&D creatives and the D&D counters said, hey, and actually, okay, linked below is Bob World Builder's 4-month-old video, and I'm pointing to it right now. Watch the first 2 minutes of it. I'll tell you what happens, but you can watch it, because people ask for me for receipts all the time. Like, I'm like, who do you think you're watching here? I got 4,000 videos, all right? I'm a dude who's uploading 5 videos a day. You think I got time for, a footnote, right? Like, for some kind of academic footnote that's peer reviewed? It ain't like, we don't live in that world anymore, right? Like, but, as much as possible, I'm going to put up receipts, and here's a receipt. I want you guys to see this. This is D&D history right here, right? So in this video, Bob World Builder shows Chris Perkins say, we have built the most stable edition of Dungeons & Dragons ever. It's so stable, right? And it's coming up on a decade that we don't even think about Dungeons & Dragons as edition anymore. We just want to think about it as just D&D. And that was his literal words. You will see it in the video below, okay? His figurative word was like, let's have peace. Put your virtual greatsword down. Let's sit down at this hewn oak table in the Stonehill Inn, right? And let's all just take a breath and drop the edition wars. Let's end the edition wars. The D&D creatives extension of the end of the D&D of the end of the D&D of the end of the edition wars was the D&D creatives extension of the end of the D&D world was very real. Okay? You can see it right there. The proof is in the link below, right? In Bob World Builders, he actually took the time to cut out the part and say, look, everybody, here it is, right? And it is the moment in 2022 where we had a brief shining moment where we all had the possibility for the Edition Wars to be done, right? The counters, the D&D counters, their extension of the end of the Edition Wars was very real. They absolutely want want it to be gone. They do not, it costs them money, right? And it costs the creatives pain and suffering. Like, they don't like seeing their material come out and people who are like, oh, well, I'm 1E, I'm 2E, I hate 5E. They don't want it, right? Like, it was a real extension, right? And then watch what happens as soon as Perkins is over. Bob World Builder literally makes a joke and laughs at the idea of the Edition Wars ending. And this is Bob World Builder. He is the nicest dude in of all the D&D commentators. You will not find a nicer one than Bob World Builder. He strives to be level-headed, calm, and kind, right? And he laughs. He utterly laughs at the idea of the Edition Wars being ended. He doesn't even entertain it for 1 minute. Not for 1 minute, right? So if you can't sell the most kind, calm, level-headed D&D commentator in the world on an end to the Edition Wars, there was never any hope. And here's the kicker. So one, witness this moment in history. We let an opportunity for the Edition Wars to sail past. The D&D commentators destroyed it. Didn't even give it 1 minute of serious thought. Laughed in the D&D creative's face, laughed in the D&D counter's face, and said, "There's no way I'm giving up. There's no way I'm putting away my virtual greatsword and stopping the Edition Wars. Now, let's label your hopes and dreams 6E and be done with it." And that's what happened, right? But I'll tell you right now, you'll find 100 channels when Hasbro gets it 1 centimeter wrong on D&D. They will decry them immediately, right? But I want this to be known. We failed. You and me, right? If you're not a commentator, this ain't part of it. Me and you, right? If you're a D&D commentator, you're part of this. We failed. We had the offer. We had the moment. We all could have taken a breath, put our virtual greatswords away, and allowed the Edition Wars to end. But we didn't. And I want a record right here and now of the moment it happened. And Bob World Builders is a literal instance, but he's not responsible for it alone. It was the entire community, right? And I want it on record too. I really tried to embrace it. You will find the receipts on this channel for it. I really did. I really was like, I'm going to be nice. Like, I'm going to completely reshape my language. And I literally tried, right? But I want this moment captured. Right? It's on us. It's on the D&D commentators for why the Edition Wars continue to rage right now. It's on us. All right, that's my humble opinion. I'm eager to hear yours. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.